was a fun place to go to high school, and I think that that's where Rob really blossomed, especially in music.
He was just a diehard St. Louis person. That is where his heart was. He loved his upbringing. He has incredible memories of his high school experience, the friendships formed there.
He was obviously in the drum corps the whole 4 years at Melville. He's in the jazz band. Mr. Kinnison was one of his favorite teachers of all time. He then they started the band.
He actually came out here. He thought he was going to be a drummer. He had a band called DesHotel.
Like even before writing, like his number one passion, he started teaching drums when he was 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
To people like twice his age.
Rob was one of my first students at Webster University, so I met him in the mid-1980s. It was pretty evident as an undergraduate that he was meant to go places when he finished school.
He really set up concrete goals and he accomplished them. He just kind of ticked them off. I want to work for this executive producer. I want to move to LA. I want to do my own pilot. I want to write on a series that runs for years. He accomplished all of those.
Rob has a tremendous list of credits. He has worked on some of the biggest hit shows in television.
Some of like the biggest ones are that 70s show.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Man with a Plan.
Man with a Plan was the most recent.
Mike and Molly.
And he wrote for a short time on True Blood.
He had so many memories there that are like kind of atypical for like a California life, and he was able to use those in his writing. And like I would be watching that 70s show, like I binge watched the whole thing one summer, and he would be in his office and he'd hear like I was watching a certain episode and be like, oh, that was based on this party that I threw in my house back in St. Louis, or like this was based on this friend that, or like one of the characters was based on one of his really good friends, and like a storyline that they did with him. And so it was, I think like having those memories and those experiences really like influenced a lot of his storytelling.
Tremendously successful television writer and a very kind, very generous person. He was always ready to talk to students and to new graduates who were moving to LA and looking to get a toehold in the industry out there. Rob was happy to help anyone who asked.
So we brought students out to Los Angeles, and both years Rob came. Even though he worked a long day on the set of Mike and Molly, he would come on his way home to work, stop in at the bar in Burbank, and what impressed me was how comfortable he was with the students and how he would sit down and I could overhear him give really solid, excellent advice to students who wanted to know about getting into series television writing.
At his service, most of the people who got up there were people who, you know, he'd been friends with. You know, I mean, he lived out there for 30 years. But a lot of them were people that he became friends with through work. But most of the people that got up there and spoke about him as a person. About how he would be there at any time a friend needed him. And it's true. And what a great dad he was. How his kids were everything to him, and how he made time even when he didn't have time.
He was one of those people that I could say, like, my cousin once removed needed help on a script that he was writing because he wanted to, like, you know, work in Chicago, like on a comedy writing staff or something. And he would literally just start a relationship with that person, and like all of a sudden he's giving notes on the script.
He will always be a role model to students everywhere. His tenacity, his creativity, and also I think the sense of his humanity. Like he never lost that, no matter how successful he was in Hollywood. He always had that sense of humanity and connectedness with his friends and his family and his community.
I think that there's something about growing up in St. Louis that kept him very, very grounded. He was very humble. He just was down to earth, and he knew what was important. He learned from like a young age, living in St. Louis, kind of meeting these friends that he had forever, just what was important and how to give back.